I've been obsessed with this idea of life design for the past few years. And to me, life design means creating the life, creating the reality, creating the self that you want to live and experience. And it is basically the discipline of creating your reality, creating your environment, your routine, yourself, as in your actions, your habits, your character traits, your beliefs, your environment in the physical sense, your digital environment, what you consume, what you feed yourself, both in terms of your mind, but also in terms of your body, what you eat, where you go, where you live, the people you surround yourself with, your social environment. There are so many factors that kind of make up this idea of designing your life. And I think it's a very interesting topic because it helps you create whatever you want to create. And I think what many people underestimate is how much ability they have to actually create their life, or rather design their life and then create that what they have designed. I think for many people, they are kind of in a mental prison where they think they need to live a certain way because that's how they were taught. And this is understandable. I used to think the same thing. If you grow up in a certain way, you are taught by society that you have to do this, and then this, and then this. The typical path, which, I mean, it's a beaten, like the topic has been beaten to death, but like the idea of go to school, get a job, work for 45 years, retire, and then you're free or whatever, and then you die, and you have children in between. Like, people like to shit on it, and I do think it's not the right path and not the most interesting path for most people. But to me, the idea is also a bit more simple, as in just thinking about what you want to do. This goes beyond just what you do for work, what you do in terms of creation, because I think also the word work is very flawed and has a very negative connotation in people. So, like, I tend to say that I work a lot, but I don't mean it in the sense as like it's not work, it's not labor, it's more time spent creating something. And of course, there's always, and there will always, even if you design your life in a certain way, certain parts, certain moments, certain prices you have to pay in order to get what you want. So it will not always be just nice and enjoyable. But I think you can even be very intentional about that. You can design, basically, you can design the prices you will pay to get certain things. So, for example, if you want a certain outcome, you can ask yourself, what is the price that I would have to pay for that? And then you can make the decision that this price is worth it. So, for example, if you want to earn a certain amount of money, it will require you maybe to go above and beyond kind of the regular effort that people put into work, into their life, into their own development. So if you say this price is worth it for me, then you can also design your lifestyle, your routine, your environment, the people around you. You can design everything in a way to make it easier for yourself to do whatever you need to do. And this, for example, is a big benefit here. I live in Bali most of the year, and it is a very good place to create a routine, kind of like a cocoon that helps you do the things that you want to do. And I understand that this is not reality, this is kind of a bubble, but it is a very useful bubble to say, okay, what do I want to do? I want to train, I want to eat well, I want to work, I want to focus, I want to do some recovery, I might want to meet some cool people. But you can craft this routine and say, in the morning I go here, then I go there, I work, I do this, I get some sun, some vitamin D, I do whatever, and you basically create this routine. You can obviously do this everywhere, but certain places are more optimized for certain things. So, for example, if you live in a place like Bali where you have a lot of proximity, if you live in the right spot, then you have proximity to gyms and co-working spaces and good restaurants, and it is significantly easier. And this is also a big part of life design, I would say. removing the friction that would otherwise make it harder for you to do the things you need to do to get the outcomes you want. So, for example, my gym is like 4 minutes away. Like I go to two different gyms, but like both gyms are like 4 or 5 minutes away. And so it is very easy for me, and the barrier of entry is very low to go to this gym, especially because one of the gyms is also a place where you can spend a lot of time, you can hang out. It's a very nice place. You can eat there, you have a big social life there, and so it makes it easier to go there. If I had to, like in Berlin, where I used to live before, if I have to drive 25 minutes, I have to go to the train station, take the train, walk to the gym, or take a car, like find a car, drive with like a drive sharing thing, go to the gym, go back. It is not a huge difference, but the difference between 5 minutes and 25 minutes is quite big, especially mentally, because it is very easy to say, okay, let me just drive over there, especially if it's a place where you can also hang out beyond that. So you're more likely to spend more time there, and so you're more likely to train. You have people surrounding you that are very much into health and fitness and this whole thing, and so you create those circumstances that make it easier for you. If I was back home, I might be much less likely to be as consistent and as disciplined with my routine, and that has nothing to do with me, right? It is like the external is easier for me, and so that's a benefit that I want to use, because I would say by default I'm not the most disciplined person, and so that helps. So that's a component of creating this design, like thinking about basically, and it is not it's not so deep, but I think it's very interesting, and many people might not think about it in such a serious way, that you can really design your life. Like, this is kind of the message that I'm trying to convey, and why I will make a lot of videos about this topic, because I find it very interesting and I want to be able to express it in a better way. But the idea is that whatever you want, you can think how you could get it and then decide whether it would be worth it. So, for example, if you say, hey, I want to have a private jet, then you would probably realize that you have to pay a very big price for it. And then you can ask yourself, is that reasonable? Does it make sense? Is that something that I would want to do? And if the answer is no, then it's not the right thing for you. But depending on what goals you have, I certainly don't have the appetite to work as hard as it would be required to get a jet or to become a billionaire or whatever. Like, I'm very far away from that mentally. And so whatever your goals are, whatever my goals are, I can think about what I want, and you can think about it in every single area of your life. You can think about, what kind of person do I want to be? How do I want to look? How do I want to behave? What kind of strength do I want to have? Many people view themselves as quite fixed. I think that has been changing a lot, because people are getting more into self-development, and they're realizing more that there are a lot of things they can do. And I do think you can change yourself in every single way, except maybe some physical attributes of yourself, which are kind of fixed. But everything that relates to how you behave is changeable. And so you can also think about, okay, who do I want to be? Who do I want to date and marry? What kind of friends do I want to have? What kind of living experience do I want to have? Do I want to be in a city? Do I want to be maybe more in nature? For many people, it might also change throughout their lives. So right now, I like this proximity. There's a lot of shit going on here. So it is more stressful in that sense. So at some point, I will want to live more in nature, have a quieter environment. But for now, it's perfect. And so this is also, like, it's not one-dimensional. You can design the different chapters that you have. And I think it makes sense to think about life in chapters as well, because it allows you to make some sacrifices in a current chapter, because you know that it will not be forever. You can say, okay, I will work weekends in this phase of my life and maybe take a Sunday off, like work 6 days a week, or like do a bit more of this, or like train twice a day, or whatever your goals would require, so you can do more to get your goal. But you can also understand that this is just for now. I might do more training now because I want to really get good at a certain thing, and so I push more, I do more, I put more effort in, but in the back of my head I understand that this is just for now. I have this goal, I want to reach this goal, and then once I'm done, then I know what's next. Or even if I don't know what's next, I know that this will be kind of a breaking point. And I think that's a very beautiful thing, and I think this whole mindset to me is extremely interesting, extremely exciting, because you can realize that whatever you want, you can just basically craft a plan for how you can get there. And even though that plan will be wildly different to how you will actually get there, it is the starting point, and nobody can look into the future, but you can anticipate and you can lay out your plan for the future. You can say, okay, and I think many people also don't really ask themselves, like, what do I actually want? And it's a hard question that you don't need to answer immediately. I probably, like, my vision for my life is continually evolving and has been over the last few years, even though some things have solidified themselves more and more, and I'm quite firm on certain ideas and plans and so on. But you can just start somewhere and ask yourself, okay, like, where do I want to live? What kind of lifestyle do I want to have? How much time do I want to spend on what kind of things? So, for example, if you have a specific hobby, like, you can design your life in a sense around that. If it's very important for you to do a lot of X, then you can keep that in mind when you create your plan. If you say, I want to build a $1 billion company, and I also want to become a professional fighter, and I also want to become this and that, then maybe you can see, okay, they are kind of conflicting. Maybe I do some things sequentially. Maybe I settle for a different variant of something. So maybe I focus on building a business and training, and then at some point I might switch to this, and you just become more intentional about your life. I think that's kind of the main point I want to leave you with, that you can be more intentional with your life, and then you can actually create this reality for yourself. Like, I have now turned my life into something that I really like, and that I also see really helps me with my goals. If I was back home, back in Berlin, in Germany, my life would be different, and I would still enjoy my life, but it would not match my vision. And so when I was in Berlin, I had some ideas of what I wanted to do, of what kind of changes I would have to make to create this reality. Right? If it's important for you to be in a place with great weather and like a good temperature year around, then it changes your options. And I think those constraints of being intentional will help you get more of what you want. Because if you are not specific with what you want, you put no constraints on your goals and your ambitions and your choices, then you will just end up kind of drifting through life, and things will kind of, like, external things will move you around, and you will not, most likely not, get what you want. But if you're intentional and you say, okay, I certainly know that this is important for me, then you can work toward that, and then you can make decisions that help you go in that direction. And yeah, I think that's a very powerful thing to do. So I wanted to just make this video, and I will make more videos where I hopefully am more concise, but I think this was, for me at least, an interesting introspection. So I hope this was interesting, and I will see you in the next one.